Hello everyone, my name is Nadeem Khan. Welcome to Uncommon Literature. Today I am going to tell you Preface to Lyrical Ballads. So, this is a work of William Wordsworth which marked the beginning of Romantic age in English literature. It was written in 1798 and it was added to the second edition of Lyrical Ballad in 1801. It is a collection of poems both by William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge. Why this essay is important? We will just know it in just 5 points. Okay, but before we move to the essay, we have to understand a little backdrop of it. So, previous to this age, there was neoclassicism or the Restoration Age. In the Restoration Age, the playwrights were writing a lot of vulgarity in their plays, which was not acceptable to the society very easily. Also, in the new classical time, which was along with it, the poets were following the ancient methods of writing poetry, which was higher in style and it was difficult for common people to understand it. Only the people belonging to the upper strata of the society could only understand it. So, with this essay, Wordsworth came with some ideas which began the concept of Romanticism with a capital R. What is the difference between the Romanticism with a capital R is that it talks about the nature worship, imagination and rebellion. I will explain it that William Wordsworth focused his poems on the everyday life of people and to the nature. During this time, the industrialization was increasing more and more. The people were destroying the nature, and Wordsworth came as a worshipper of nature with his idea of pantheism. Pantheism means the God exists in everything. In this world, everything has God. This was the idea which Wordsworth followed. Okay, so this is the idea that they did not want to follow the ideals of previous age, and they were also inspired by the French Revolution. Why? Because French Revolution broke away the clutches which were already existing in old times and they started with their new ideas. Same thing happened in Romanticism as well. Now we come to the essay. The first important point is what inspires the poetry. So, poetry is something that to make the ordinary look extraordinary. How? That Wordsworth is talking about solitary reaper and daffodils. Okay, and he is writing in a way that it looks very grand, it looks something special. So he is making something ordinary look very extraordinary by his words. First point clear. Second point is he tells in this essay who is a poet. So he also mentions that poet is a man speaking to men, and he is a kind of person who has more sensitivity than the normal people, and he is more close to his own feelings, moods and emotions than the ordinary people. So he is the one who can analyze the ideas more deeply than the ordinary man can do. Okay, next point is what is a poem. So this one is the crux is the main idea of this essay, and you must have heard it as well. So he says, he defines poetry as poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings which are recollected in tranquility. Now, if you pay attention to this definition, you will understand it very easily. You have to break it into two. So one part is this: a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, meaning when we are in a natural landscape or anywhere we are, we see something, and what kind of emotion we get from that is the spontaneous idea which we get from that thing. Okay, but this is only first half. The second half says which are recollected in tranquility. Now, what thoughts we earlier got while looking at something at the first time, later on when we are in a calm environment, when there is no nothing, there is no kind of disturbance, then we have to recollect everything, we have to recollect all the thoughts which we got earlier, and then we have to write the poem in a more imaginary way, in a more decorated way. So in a way he is saying the same thing, the old thing in a new way. Basically he is saying that poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Most of the students only understand the definition till here only, that Wordsworth says that poetry is something which comes all of a sudden when we experience something and we get some emotions, that is poetry. No, Wordsworth is not saying this. Wordsworth is saying that after we have got some kind of feelings, we later on go to a calm place, we recollect, we bring out all those memories, and then we analyze them to bring up with a more defined or refined work, that is called poetry. So at the end, this is ultimately all of the poets were earlier also doing, but he is saying the same thing in a new manner. So that is why he is Wordsworth. Okay, moving on to the next point, that what is the language in a poem, what should be the language of a poem. So he is saying the language should be real language of man, the language of ordinary people he is talking about, so that everybody can understand it easily, unlike the previous age in which all of the ordinary people were not able to understand the highly written poems by, you can take the example of Mac Flecknoe, Rape of the Lock. These are the highly decorated language these works have, so that is why it was difficult for ordinary people to understand them. Now there is a last point which you have to understand. This is called egotistical sublime. This is a concept which is added in the preface. So what is it actually? He says that it is a kind of concept which means poet's own subjective view of truth and beauty. So basically, whenever a poet is writing something, obviously a poetry, when a poem is being written by a poet, his own ideas, truths, experiences also come into that work. Okay, so this is called egotistical sublime by William Wordsworth. And this can also be seen in his own works. No matter what poem you take of Wordsworth, his own experiences are also visible in that poem. So this is called the idea of egotistical sublime. So I hope that by the explanation which I have given to you, the main ideas of this essay are clear to you. After watching this video, I would request you to go through this essay once, read it in detail. You will surely understand it. If you have liked my video, kindly subscribe to my channel and also share it with your friends and other classmates. Thank you so much.